Sound of Money with Santosh Sirur.
Hello and welcome to another super special episode of Sound of Money. My guest is Mr. Balaji Kasal and he's going to talk to us tons and tons of information, wealth of information about the budget, about value investing, and what is it that makes stock market tick. Hi Balaji and welcome to the Sound of Money.
Hi Santosh, thank you for be inviting here, and nice to be on this your channel.
Absolutely. A pleasure having you, Balaji. Balaji, the first question I have, you have you have a mission, a personal mission to actually empower 1 million people to achieve that financial freedom using the stock market as an ecosystem, but with peace. Can you share your ideas? What exactly do you plan?
Definitely, thanks for asking that question. I've seen there's a lot of misconception about stock market. First of all, they
Hmm.
think stock market is a gambling place, but it's actually an empowering place for anyone who want to participate with some diligence and some discipline, because
Yeah,
it gives level field to give opportunity each one of us to buy a piece of business. Okay,
yeah,
in right way in the stock market where we can look at the businesses, their valuation, the price is everyone knows, but very people
yeah,
understand what is the value of the business. That I
yeah.
teach as a value investment, and that is the only investment which include everything and used by all legendary investors globally, including Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Peter Lynch, and so forth.
Yeah, yeah. But it's very interesting, right? Why do you actually advocate value investing? And what is it about that coaching that you foresee in the foreseeable future?
Yeah. Look, value is everything, right? In our daily life also, we do our affairs based on value, right? Before
Hmm.
buying any merchandise, product, service, we always look at the value, right? What is the
Yeah,
value? Maybe in different terms for different people, based on utility, based on its brand, its experience, and its status in all those things. And when you look at the
yeah,
price is lower than the value, then only buy. The same is
yeah,
way in the stock market. When value of the business is very high, then only you like to buy, and that will protect your downside as well as at the gives boost to our upside.
yeah. So, now that the budget has come and, as a working professional, they interpret that budget in a very different way. Of course, this time, of course, there are no, your tax related part been taken care of in the last budget. How does one really, interpret that budget as a common man in terms of calmly, without any panic or for that greed? What's your view?
Yeah, budget, is there, but we should not be reacting to the budget. We should be looking at
Yeah,
the second order thought on that. What is
yeah,
there for me and which business is going to grow or which sector the government want to support, right? If you look
mm,
at that, we become pinpoint as an investment, more guiding light for you based on the investment that will help you rather than just getting distracted. What is
yeah,
happening pinpointedly. But if you really look at the what the government want to do, infrastructure, IT boom, local consumption, all those patterns, everything is there in, and most of those companies are again listed in the stock market, right? And we should be buying those companies with the leaders with the value that really make a
mm,
difference for us.
yeah. Yeah. So can you actually explain why these long-term returns, right, come more from the business quality than actually these budget incentives?
Look, we have to focus on the business which you're buying, right? There are almost
Yeah.
more than 7,000 companies are listed in the stock market, and we don't need all of them to invest. But let's just look at the few companies to invest. And for example, if a company is doing very well, right, it's based on their income and how they're expanding, all those things put in the numbers. And we have to look at those numbers as a quality numbers. It's come from again how consistently they are doing profit and sharing
Yeah.
the wealth with the shareholders. And that
Mm,
consistency, when you double digit over the period of time, the way compounding works, the formula
yeah.
you see, the time factor T is not at addition or multiplication, it's exponential factor, right? That's
Mm,
exponential going to get magical exponent compounding over the period of time. That works,
yeah.
and therefore focus on the business than just looking at the budget noise here and there. That's my always
Yeah. Yeah. And in any market, right, typically investor behavior and psychology really plays a very, very crucial role. So
correct.
what are the kind of most common, emotional mistakes, if I may say so, that typically investors make after a budget announcement? Or in general, basically, how does this whole create those challenges to succeed in that investment journey?
Typically we as a human, right, we were emotional, right, we've been designed that way.
Yeah.
It's very natural to any person to react, but only
Yeah.
we have to in being controlled way we have to do it. The common challenge I seen in the people is a fear, right? Fear
Mm,
not participating, not believing in themselves also, if they want to do right things and learn the art how to investment. That is
Yeah.
big. Here is big stopping I see. The second also I see some, there's no proper formal education that is restricting them. It's never been there in the from childhood at the school at home, how to handle money, how to investment. That's a big. And
Yeah.
emotionally, if you ask me specifically, the envy, right? People look at someone, their neighbor, the friends,
Yeah.
and they just want to be active, get ready. But
Yeah.
please don't do that. That will, they might be doing their job, but we have to see what is good for us, right? Because we
Mm.
know our condition, where we are standing,
Better.
finance
Yeah.
situation, and what are goals and where you want to reach.
Yeah. But how can actually investors protect themselves from, typically where my concern comes is, you know, you have these WhatsApp tips and these
Yeah,
Telegram messages, all that media hoopla that happens, that overreaction.
correct.
I guess you want to convey that one needs to be staying calm, but whatever said and done, these messages come on your screen. So how does one tackle that?
Look, that is, one of the thing in my community also. These are distractions, and nowadays it's very
Yeah.
easy to get distracted, right? As
Yeah.
you know, the kind of information bombarding, and everyone is talking with the high speech and everything. But at that time only, you don't need, just avoid those noises. We know
Mm.
our what is our journey, which path we are taking it, and what is suitable for us, right? Someone is doing
Yeah.
something, don't try to take it because it's maybe good for them. We don't know, but definitely we have to see what is good for them. Just ignore those noises and see. And that is for that. I understand some basic understanding, learning is required. That will help you only to empower yourself, right? That will
Yeah.
empower not only pick money, also empower you to not to even take some fraud or some mis-selling to you. This both
Correct.
help you.
Yeah, that's a good point you mentioned about empowerment, right? And financial education is equally important. 90% of the Indian stock market advice, right, is designed to excite you, right, not
Yeah.
enrich you. So how does one really? Why does this kind of a thing exist?
No, that is, see, that's, Santosh, that's really very good, deep question, and that is one of my concern also. A lot of companies try to just push and make excitement, like, you take NFO in
Yeah,
mutual funds, they're just investing in the same companies, but they just want to build, they understand human psychology, that's why they market like that, right? But my
yeah,
only concern we have to see, again, is I go back to the original, see what is good for you, take educated decision and independent decision. That's very important in the stock market. And
mm,
this push is happening because of course, they understand the market psychology, human psychology. They want accept the people and push their product through it. That is,
yeah,
but be careful as a a common people. I want to say.
yeah. But you often talk about financial education as a national need, right? Why is it more urgent now than ever?
Look, India is a really very, great country, and we've been the uh, you know financial capital of the world just couple of centuries back. We've been
Yeah,
contributing almost 24% of global GDP. But
yeah,
recently, in the couple of centuries, we lost it for many reasons. But currently, we are in right demographic, in the right situation, everything policies in place, and companies are doing not only business in India, but the exporting and products they've been
yeah.
selling. That should be my always appeal to people to understand them and invest in right terms, which makes sense, and which these things are very simple. Don't too confused by noise, etc. Just follow
Yeah,
some proven process which work for
yeah,
you and build your portfolio, which is really helpful for you and your family.
yeah. And Balaji, in terms of your rising income of the ones that are on hand, disposable income, why do you feel Indians still feel that financially insecure?
Yeah, I see lot of people still work for years, but when it comes to the family, financial things, they still feel insecure for themselves and their family, right? Because of
Mm,
they don't understand how money to put, how to use it, and they start spending here and there. Therefore,
yeah,
we make a simple formula for that. People do some income cuts, maybe job income consultancy. They first expense, then remaining bacha kucha, they put in the
yeah,
savings and investment. Just reverse
correct.
that question, that formula bit. Income comes first, decide your savings, investment, then put that remaining money
Yeah,
in the expenses, your needs, your wants. And typically, I suggest want or your desires restrict to 10% of your monthly income. Otherwise, there's no
yeah,
limit of your desires, right? You just overspend
absolutely.
and manage the budget. That's my message here.
Absolutely. And how does this lack of, this financial literacy actually it's quietly destroying long-term wealth in Indian families? Do you
Correct.
see that? Is that the same view that you have?
Yes, I see people just spend recklessly just maybe to show off. I seen
Yeah,
that. and not understanding where to invest. They just go, someone advises something, they want to, get distracted. But that is very common problem is happening because of people don't know how where to invest first of all, and just go
Yeah,
blindly something, some
yeah,
advices, and again reckless spending is comes in, as a human nature.
yeah,
This
yeah,
all these characteristics are exactly opposite to become financial freedom. Financial freedom is everything you want to do in life, your dreams especially achieve when money is not the factor, because you live such a life
absolutely.
where because you just remember the money also is artificially created, right? Because
Yeah,
our life is more beautiful larger than that. The way we restrict to money earning only, we limit it, but if we come out of that and make money taking care of itself and growing for you 24/7, even when sleeping, at that time I say it's a financial freedom you can achieve.
yeah, yeah. In fact, you have built this the Intelligent Investors Hub, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just being a market expert, why did you build this Intelligent Investors Hub? What's
Yeah.
the mission?
Yeah, this is the mission, and this is a purely education purpose, and I
Yeah,
built as a community. Okay, I
mm,
understand nowadays learning knowledge is free. Just Google search karo, what YouTube karo, you can going to get. But
yeah,
here we speak about not only knowledge, empowering yourself. We focus on implementation,
mm,
on your customized portfolio, which is good for you, which
yeah,
you can use it based on your cash flow, how much income
yeah,
expenses are there, your goals, short term, mid term, long term goals, your risk appetite, all those things we consider and make customized portfolio for which teach you how to build it step by step. That is one. And second, also we as a community I built it. This is a community of the people, like-minded people come together and stay together for lifetime, because
yeah,
environment determines where you're going to stay, right? Well, otherwise,
yeah,
as I said earlier, a distraction is very easy. But here in community, we'll stay together as privately and support each other, finding any issues and grow together as a
yeah.
successful. That is my success of the community.
Yeah. So, but as a community, right, how does that, that learning in a community actually change that investor behavior compared to someone who is really learning alone? Is it
Yeah.
more about exchange of ideas?
Learning, what happens, alone learning, also doing earlier stage, my we will really get to is distraction and trial error. Try grow, that happens. With that, you lose your money as your time. That's why I made community. In community, what happens, we come weekly live where I take question and answer, and we support, what problems exactly they're facing rather than general questions. That is one. And they discuss what challenges they're facing, how they want to look forward, even including their insurance and so forth. And one
Yeah.
more live section we call is the Wellathon session, where
Mm.
weekly we come together and teach from the basic clarity from where you're standing, your mindset, portfolio creation, automation, all these three steps we take, step by step, where we demonstrate and discuss what is theory behind it and implement them, actual implementation, hands-on experience, and we discuss what is happening
Yeah.
there, and we have
Yeah.
to take a forward for that.
Yeah. But what is that exact, that perfect wealth creation formula that, really mean in the stock market context?
A stock market, look, it's really empowers. As I say, stock market perspective, you just think stock market, when you're buying a stock, you're buying a company, right? And this under
Yeah.
logic is there is stock, and that company is going to grow, the management is good, and they fair to share wealth with you. As company has to grow, is going to bring more profit, and the price has to follow. The price is a slave of the company business and growth. And
Yeah.
and as stock market is giving opportunity us, each one of us, to buy, and that share, share in
Yeah.
this company, it will help us to build the wealth. As long company is there and doing very well, you just track it, and as long as everything is going, just ride on that, right? Sit aside and just let it run as for you. It's like
Yeah.
this, money is working for you, and just you relaxing behind it, right? That kind of
Absolutely.
job remains for you.
Yeah. And then one last question before I let you go.
Yeah.
If someone is watching this podcast, right, uh, and wants that financial freedom without stress, what are those first baby steps one should take?
My suggestion is first get clarity where you are
Mm.
standing today based on your cash flows and your goals, your responsibilities, and where you want to reach. Based on
Yeah.
that, you take your judgment how you want to manage your budget,
Mm.
financial, your emergency fund, and so forth. And
Yeah.
definitely, at least start investment, as soon as possible. I see a lot of people, they talk when I become 5 lakh rupees, 10 lakh rupees corpus, then I'll start. Don't do. 5,000
Mm.
rupees, 10,000 rupees, start. In the
Start off.
stock
Yeah.
market, start early. How long you be in the stock market, that matters rather than when timing the market. that really
Correct.
works. That's my advice. Don't wait, start today itself.
Just
That's
get
the
on
time.
with the, yeah, exactly. Don't time the market.
Comforting works. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. On that very, very positive note on not timing the market, Balaji Kasal, thank you so much for being with me on the podcast Sound of Money.
Thank you. Thank you, Santosh, for being here. And I'm here for serve people to see them empowerment and take independent right decision, which is good for them. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, with that, it comes the end of this episode of Sound of Money with me, Santosh Sirur, and my guest, Mr. Balaji Kasal. Thank you so much for being on the Sound of Money. Bye bye and take care.
Thank you.